Celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage, President Biden welcomes an Academy Award winning cast to the White House. Plus, a first for the nation, what one state is doing to help draw more attention to missing Indigenous people. And much work left to do. We talk with a diversity expert about Asian prejudice in America. And welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a new study is showing how mental health and physical health may be linked. Researchers in South Korea found people dealing with mental health problems in their 20s or 30s were at higher risk of suffering a heart attack or stroke later in life. The 10-year study involved 6.5 million people in South Korea. They found people with mental health disorders like insomnia, depression, and eating disorders were 58% more likely to suffer a heart attack and 42% more likely to have a stroke. The state of Washington now has the nation's first alert system for missing Indigenous people, and it's saving lives. It's called MIPA, and it's similar to an Amber or Silver alert. In less than a year, 56 alerts have been issued, with most people found safe. 2 people were found dead and 6 have not yet been located. In 2018, a report by the Urban Indian Health Institute found that Washington state had the highest number of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in the country. And switching gears, the White House is recognizing the contributions of Asian Americans to film and TV with a movie night or stream and chill. President Biden invited the cast of the upcoming Disney Plus series, American-Born Chinese, to the White House for AAPI Heritage Month. The film looks at the life of a teenager as he learns about his identity and family. President Biden talked about honoring AAPI identities and culture.
When I think about this story, I think about the courage it took for so many of you and your ancestors to start the journey to America and continue the traditions of Native Hawaiians who've been engaged in that process for centuries. To adopt old traditions anew and tell the ongoing story of America. Stories of possibilities. I was with Xi Jinping in the Tibetan Plateau, and he turned to me and he said, "Can you define America for me?" And I said, "Yes, I can. It's God's truth." I said one word. Possibilities.
I do not take this moment lightly because I know this building is a monument to a country that opened its arms to me once upon a time. And for that reason, we are thrilled to celebrate Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month by bringing you our show, American-Born Chinese.
American-Born Chinese premieres May 24th on Disney+. There is progress being made to increase representation of Asian Americans on screen. I spoke with diversity consultant and expert Dr. Michael Soon Lee about the active discrimination that takes place in our country. Of your experience, your experience is one that a lot of Asian Americans can probably relate to. These days we are seeing more, not a lot, but more representation of Asian Americans on television and other places. How important is it to have Asian Americans out there, visible for everyone to see? What positives can that do for your community?
Well, as you know, Aaron, I mean, seeing people who look like you on the screen, whether it be the big screen or the little screen, hearing them on the radio, is very important.
Yeah.
Because I would have never thought about being a television producer or actor because there weren't any at the time. I mean, all I had was Bruce Lee, and I wasn't that good at martial arts. And I always wanted to be like the romantic lead, and poor Bruce, he never got the girl, unfortunately. And so it's important for us to have role models, just as it's important for African Americans and Hispanics and gays and women to have role models. Asian Americans need role models as well, whether it be in acting or in politics or anything else. Otherwise, it doesn't even cross our minds that maybe we should run for a local or state or national office as a politician or anything else. Unfortunately, in particular as Asians, our parents have only given us a couple of choices, maybe three. Number one, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's number one. Second best would be, in the medical profession as a nurse or as a pharmacist or as a dentist. And third is pretty much everything else so that you're not on welfare. But those are what our parents have given us and still do even to this day. So, Aaron, I think it's crucial that we have role models that are in non traditional careers. And for whatever reason, that's what I've been in my entire life.
And going back to your book, you discuss the myth of the model minority. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it, impacts students?
Well, Asians are thought of as the perfect minority in America. We're quiet. We go along with the program. We don't protest very much. And the myth of the model minority actually developed, as you know, if you read my book, in the 1960s, when there was all of these civil rights activism and everybody was afraid that the whole world was falling apart because of all of these protests and riots. And people started saying, hey, look at the Asians. They're not rioting and they're doing just fine. In fact, Japanese Americans were put in concentration camps and lost all their homes and their businesses, and they came out and restarted and they're doing great. And the same thing about the Chinese. They started pushing this as a public relations campaign, not to say, congratulations, Asians, but rather, hey, Blacks, Hispanics, stop protesting, shut up, and be quiet like Asians, and you'll be successful as well. Not taking into account all of the historic discrimination, the lynching against minorities in the past, which included Asians, by the way, but it didn't include all of that historic discrimination, which is the background of a lot of other minorities in America, which has given us the myth of the model minority has led to something else, which is very controversial in my book, Aaron, and that's something called yellow privilege, which says that Asians have rights that other minorities are not entitled to because we are quiet and we don't protest.
Wow, thank you for that explanation. I definitely learned something new just now. And with May being AAPI Heritage Month, what can people do to learn more about, how to battle these stereotypes and how to just learn more about the Asian experience and things that this community is facing today?
Well, I think, Asian American Pacific Islander Month is crucial. By the way, it only started out as one day, and then eventually it became a week. And then eventually, I mean, we had to fight to get it to be a month. And that was even after Hispanics and African Americans had gotten their own months. We had to fight for it. In fact, one of the biggest challenges that I explain in my book is that Asian Americans have to fight for the rights that a lot of other people just take for granted. And that means fighting discrimination and everything else. But if you're not Asian American, what you can do to learn more about what I call the invisible minority in America is reach out to coworkers at work or your friends or people at church or wherever you see Asian Americans and just ask us. Number one, where are your ancestors from? Because one of the biggest challenges we have as Asians, Aaron, is that everybody thinks that Asians are one big happy family, and we are not. We are at least 21 different groups that the Census Bureau counts. 21 different groups with different languages, different nationalities. So ask Asians, where are your ancestors from? And then ask about our food, our religion, our culture. It's okay to ask people about their culture.
His book, Beyond the Bamboo Curtain, is available now. And that's all the time we have for this Advocate today. You can visit us on YouTube or any streaming device or online at advocatechannel.com. I'm Aaron Dean, and we'll see you next time.